Welcome to the FSA Knowledge Share presentation for the GLWA 5S overview. 5S is defined as a methodology that results in a workplace that is clean, uncluttered, safe, and well organized. The purpose of the 5S overview is to introduce you to what it is, the benefits, and how to apply it in your work area and even at home. The table of contents is listed on this slide. However, you can navigate through the table of contents by selecting the bookmarks in the comment area below the video. Chapter 1. 5S Overview. In this chapter you will learn about the 5S methodology and how it will apply in the workplace and at home. 5S, when properly executed, can identify and reduce most waste in any area. An organized work area reduces time spent looking for items used every day. When items are organized and in the correct place, they are easy to locate, as you will see from the examples in this presentation. Some ideas to think about for potentially cluttered areas at home are junk drawers, basements, garages, closets, or spare rooms. Who should learn 5S? Everyone. What does 5S do? It establishes orderly flow, eliminates waste or wasted time, and organizes the workplace. When 5S is sustained, it becomes a part of your regular work routine. This chart gives you an overview on the 5S methodology, the steps on how to create it in your work area, and the benefits of doing it. Although we focus on the work area in this presentation, there are many uses for 5S in your home as well. Think about your spare room, basement, garage, and closets. This methodology can apply to any cluttered area, or any items that are unorganized. Items to be organized might include lids and containers in the kitchen. For instance, in my kitchen I have a bunch of cups and lids for my son. To keep the cups and lids together, I numbered the lid and the cup to eliminate confusion and spills from not having the correct lid and cup. Chapter 2. Terms and Definitions. There are several different ways to describe the tasks and phases in a 5S project. This chapter outlines each term for your understanding. You will hear these terms used throughout the presentation. This list has been created to help you with some of the terms and definitions associated with 5S. Sort includes going through everything you have and getting rid of the items you don't use or need anymore. Using your desk drawer as an example, create a few different piles of the items from the drawer. One pile will be to throw out. One pile will be to organize and put back in the drawer. And the other will be to relocate to another place for storage. Set in order. To set your desk drawer in order, group similar items together so that they're easy to find. Labeling the area can help too. Every time you use that item, return it back to its place in the drawer so the next time you need it, it's right where you left it. Shine. Clean everything. Clean the desk drawer, and the items before you put the items back. Standardize. Creating a standard might include reviewing the desk drawer every quarter to make sure that you're following your own process of organizing your desk drawer items. Creating a standard checklist and including pictures is a great way to keep team members on the same page. Audit. So how do you know that you're following a consistent process over time? You can do a self-check, also known as an audit. Performing an audit helps keep you on track with organization, and it helps identify any areas where you might need a little extra help. Compliance. Being in compliance means that you're meeting the goals, conforming to the rules that have been created and approved. What are the 5S team roles within GLWA? There are 4 main roles when executing a 5S project. These roles are: Executive Sponsor, the director or chief level leadership in the organization. Reporting directly to the CEO, Sue McCormick. Project sponsor. The management level leadership in the area, which is the manager reporting to one of the chief levels. Champion. The person responsible for the 5S project, often seen as the overseer of the project. The champion is responsible for being the conduit between the 5S team and leadership. Zone captain. The team leader of the smaller area or zones. Chapter 3. 5S team roles. The role of each team member is important in executing a 5S project. In this chapter, we will define and briefly describe what each role is. Chapter 4. 5S history. 5S was officially introduced in 1945 with Toyota Motor Company. However, the concepts date back to the 16th century. The core principles are basic and can be applied to many different environments. This chapter will provide you with some background information on just how far back the 5S methodology goes. Can you believe that 5S dates back to the 16th century? Shipyards and armories figured out that the best use of their time in building was to follow an assembly line approach, using different pre-made pieces to be assembled into a whole ship. The story is that what prompted this initiative was a visit from King Henry III of France in 1574. The shipbuilders were asked to build an entire galley in just about 2 hours. Given the small amount of time they had to build it, the shipbuilders developed the assembly line approach to complete the king's request. So how did we go from shipbuilding to bringing 5S into the workplace? Fast forward to 1945 at the end of World War II. Toyota's founder, Sakichi Toyoda, came to the U.S. to study the assembly line at Ford Motor Company. Through the analysis, he noticed that there was wasted time where workers were waiting for a step to be completed during the assembly line process. The waiting period between steps proved to be a waste, and an opportunity to improve the process. As the 5S methodology was formed, it offered each team member a level of importance and encouragement that every job was essential to the process and end product. Waste was kept at a minimum, and workplace organization led to timely outcomes with genuine team member pride. This is the real starting point of the history of 5S. Chapter 5. 5S benefits. One of the benefits of 5S is to create opportunities for improvement. These opportunities are created by organizing and creating an order so that less time is spent looking for items you need. When you spend less time looking for items you need, you increase the time spent on the actual task, resulting in increased efficiency in your day. This is also true when organizing and creating an order for items at home. What if you had an organized junk drawer where small tools, or pens, and pencils, or paper clips were grouped together? Every time you go into that drawer, you would know which group you needed to look in. When you're done with the item, it should be returned to the very place you got it from. The next time you need it, you don't have to spend time looking for it. The benefits of 5S are to make problems and opportunities for improvement visible, such as excessive time looking for files, tools, components, documents, safety supplies, equipment, excessive office supplies, etc. You can't work to the best of your abilities when your workspace is a disorganized mess. The next time you're frustrated by the amount of time it takes to find something, take a moment to think about how you might be able to organize yourself to prevent the frustration the next time you're looking for that item. Your workspace is a first impression of how effective you may perform. It's how your clients and leaders perceive you. Out-of-control clutter costs money in time, effort, late fees, and work-related injuries. There are some important benefits of executing 5S, aside from simply organizing and cleaning. Let's explore some of these benefits. First is improved safety. Injuries can happen anywhere from the office buildings to the GLWA facilities. Creating order and maintaining standards in these environments may prevent injuries from happening. Lower defect, mistake, and rework rates. A consistent documented process will lower mistakes and rework rates. Consider this. You have a team of people following the same process. The output should be the same, which offers less time fixing mistakes and redoing tasks. Reduced costs. Improving a process, standardizing steps and communicating to all team members to perform them will reduce the cost of rework and lost time doing things incorrectly. Increased work process agility and flexibility. With all team members following a consistent, documented process, it allows each person to become faster and increases the time they can be doing other tasks. Improved team member morale. Consistent messaging, lower mistakes and rework, and increased productivity can make a huge difference with team member morale. Wouldn't you feel better if you accomplished everything you needed to on your task list, with the knowledge that you wouldn't have to come in the next day and fix it? Enhance enterprise image with customers, suppliers, team members, and leadership. All of the consistency that is established with 5S creates a positive, orderly image with everyone that GLWA team members come into contact with. Think about someone coming into your office or facility for the first time. They look around and see that things are neat, clean, and in their place. Team members feel valued and display a sense of purpose. For someone who hasn't done any type of business with GLWA before, they're going to want to after seeing the benefit of 5S. Less waste, which leads to improved efficiency. Having a decreased amount of waste, whether it's time or materials, will allow team members to focus solely on the task, which increases the efficiency of the work area or process. Reduced space used for storage. 5S allows us to think through the way that we operate and the items that we need. As we identify what we need daily to keep close to us, we can also identify the items we can store further away to give space for the things we use regularly. Creates a more committed and cohesive team. With all team members working from the consistent process and documentation, it will create a cohesiveness and everyone committed to the same thing. Chapter 6. 5S Phases. The 5 phases in a 5S project are as follows: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. This chapter shows each of these phases in detail. The sort phase consists of sorting through all of your items and dividing them into 3 categories. Items you want to keep, items you can store elsewhere, or give to someone else, and items you can throw away. The set in order phase is a way to categorize and organize the stuff you want to keep. Find a place for everything and put everything in its place. The shine phase entails cleaning the workplace, or at home, and incorporating this activity into every day. After we sort through our stuff, set our stuff in order, and clean our stuff, what's next? Standardize. This phase is where all your efforts to organize become part of your daily routine. But how? Creating a checklist is a great way to keep yourself and your team on track. A checklist with pictures is even more impactful, so team members can see the expectation as well as reading it. The last phase is called sustain, and it refers to the ongoing effort to improve processes and procedures. A great way to keep team members engaged is by performing audits on a regular basis to make sure everyone is on track. Audits can be fun and can create a little internal competition as well. The next chapter takes a deeper dive into each 5S phase and provides additional information that you will need to successfully perform a 5S project. Chapter 7. 5S Phase 1. Sort. The first phase of 5S is sort. The purpose of sort is to get rid of the waste. Think about cleaning out and organizing a closet full of clothes. The first thing you'd want to do is decide what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. The 5S methodology starts with sort. Sorting, using our junk drawer example, would be dumping out the junk drawer and sorting through everything in it. Not only would you decide what to keep and what to throw away, you would group items together to make it easier to find them next time you go in the drawer. Same thing at work. If you're in the maintenance area, the first thing you'd want to do is make sure the tools and parts that you use the most every day are the closest to you. The other tools and parts can be stored elsewhere. This really is a team effort to sort through your own belongings and help with the common areas as well. Another thing to think about as you're going through your desk or even at home is, if you have an electronic copy of something, do you really need a paper copy as well? As you come across items that you choose to get rid of in your work area, please follow the disposal of surplus (DOS) process described next. The disposal of surplus (DOS) process is used to dispose of materials properly. For example, if you notice in your area that there is computer equipment that hasn't been used, it cannot just be thrown out. The disposal of these items are handled by the GLWA IT group. Please reach out to the managers of each group for further details. To begin the DOS process, the end user, you or your team members, should complete the DOS form. The end user will be supported by logistics and materials team leaders to fill out the form and go through the process. Once you have identified items that are questionable or items you want to get rid of, you will follow the red tag process. Once items have a red tag on them, the executive sponsor or the project sponsor will determine what should be thrown out and what could possibly be used in another GLWA location. Should you find yourself having an enormous pile of red-tagged items, you may want to consider identifying an area to store all of the items until a decision is made. It would be helpful to post a sign that designates the area as a 5S red tag area. All red-tagged items should be listed on the DOS form, which will serve as a log for the executive sponsor or project sponsor to sign off on when this part of the process is complete. This is the disposal of surplus form. It's used to document the proper disposal of surplus items and components. While the sort phase is in progress, it is possible to have piles or stacks of items that are no longer in use, may be damaged, or an excessive amount of supplies or materials. Each item should be documented in detail on the disposal of surplus form. The purpose of providing as much detail as possible is for the executive or project sponsor that will be signing off on this form. The link to the disposal of surplus form can be found in the comment area below the video. Chapter 8. 5S Phase 2. Set in order. The set in order phase entails making a place for everything and putting everything in its place. The goal of set in order is to be consistent about the way you store and retrieve your workplace tools and materials. After you use an item, return it to its home, so that it will be easy to find later. After all items have been sorted, it's time to set in order. Using the junk drawer example, after you've sorted through the items and grouped like items together, assigning an area in the drawer would be the set in order step. By storing items in the same place every time, you will spend less time looking for it the next time you need it. Items should be stored based on the amount of time you use them during the day. The items that you use multiple times throughout the day should be kept at an arm's reach. For example, If you need to use pen and paper to jot down quick notes while you're working, these items should be kept on your desk or in a drawer in your desk. You don't want to store them too far, otherwise you will spend unnecessary time getting to them. Likewise, items that you may use a few times during the week, like scissors, tape, etc., should be stored in a nearby cabinet, so that you're not spending time looking, and they're not crowding your work area. Things should be easy to find, so label everything. Label files, storage, bins, boxes, etc. In some cases, creating a boundary where something should be stored may be helpful in this phase. For example, if you are storing some items on a shelf, not only can you label the shelf, but you may want to use some tape and give the item a boundary. This can serve two purposes. One is knowing where to return it. The other purpose is knowing that something occupies that spot and it may be missing or misplaced. Family pictures and other personal touches are welcome. Just organize and keep them clean and neat. Chapter 9. 5S Phase 3. Shine. The purpose of Shine is to focus on cleaning the area after you've organized it. This includes dusting and wiping down your work area on a regular basis. In Phase 3, Shine, it is everyone's responsibility to shine their area and to help with the common spaces. If a set of shelves needs to be organized, we know from the first step of 5S that you will be sorting through the items from the shelves. This means you would take everything off to sort through things and then give them a place to be stored. This is a great opportunity to clean the area before putting items back on the shelves. Think about adding in a quick dusting and cleaning at the end of the day. Taking a few minutes to make things nice and clean can start your day off right the next day. An organization that keeps the work environment clean and safe speaks volumes to visitors, suppliers, business partners, about that organization's work habits and how they treat their team members. Note, a clean and well-represented restroom is impressive to visitors and other team members. Something as simple as adding a flower or picture is all it takes to make a great first impression. Chapter 10. 5S Phase 4. Standardize. The purpose of Standardize is to set up standards for a neat, clean workplace. A good way to document a standard is to create a checklist to ensure that the organization and cleanliness efforts are maintained. The checklist can contain images as to what the work area or process area should look like. Cleaning the workplace and maintaining its appearance daily is part of the Standardize phase. A good way to standardize is to write simple procedures and have pictures of the new state so you can show the positive impact of the 5S process. Including pictures provides a way for all team members to see what the area should look like instead of leaving it up for interpretation. To standardize something is creating a new behavior. Creating a new behavior requires consistency. Friendly reminders may need to be sent out to keep team members on track. Chapter 11. 5S Phase 5. Sustain. The fifth and last phase of 5S is Sustain. This chapter will describe the use of audits in the work or process areas and how to sustain the hard work that you've done. The goal of Sustain is to stick to the new rules that have been agreed upon and approved. The responsibility of sustaining 5S is shared between leadership and the workforce. Consistent messaging and behaviors to team members from leadership will be the key to successfully sustaining 5S. If you think about it, it's a twofold process. Leadership is responsible for enforcing the 5S standards, while team members are responsible for doing the work and creating the results. Just remember, it's a shared responsibility. Keeping all of your hard work on track is part of the sustain phase. A great way to stay on track is to create an internal audit process. Zone captains will be assigned and will audit internally on a weekly basis. Weekly audit results are a call to action for improvement. Creating a fun atmosphere for the audits is highly encouraged as it makes the process enjoyable and even inspires some friendly internal competition. Again, as the culture is transformed, the weekly audits are optional and can be omitted. Let's talk about 5S audit instructions. Zone captains will audit on a monthly basis. The purpose of the monthly audit is to perform an audit on a zone that they are not responsible for. This is a different zone that we talked about previously, where zone captains were responsible for the internal audit performed on a weekly basis. The zone captains work with the 5S champion to tally the monthly audit results and post them in a common area. The audit results are also provided to the transformation team, who then provides the audit results enterprise-wide to leadership. Chapter 12. GLWA 5S Floor Standards and Guidelines. The purpose of this chapter is to visually walk through the work that has been done at the water board building. If these ideas can't be duplicated for your particular work or process area, they can certainly be used as thought starters. Here are some great examples of a 5S drawer and a 5S desk. In the example of what a 5S drawer looks like, please notice that like items are grouped and stored together. This will result in less time looking for items as you navigate through your workday. In the example of the 5S desk, please notice how neat and clean the work area is. When standards are adhered to, we can focus on the work to be done and not be distracted by additional items on our desks or pinned to the walls. The standards for the open shelves in the waterboard building were approved for this particular work area by the executive sponsor. You may have up to 7 total personal items that are freestanding, clean, and neat. These items include, but are not limited to, pictures, humidifiers, plants, child artwork, clocks, certificates, and decorative items. The standards in your work area may be different. Similar to the standards for open shelves, there are also approved standards for cabinets in the work area. For safety purposes, the top of cabinets must be clean and clear of all materials. The top of cabinets are not to be used for storage. No magnets, stickers or papers are allowed on the fronts of cabinets. All cabinets must be closed at the end of each workday. Protecting the privacy of our team members, member partners, and customers is extremely important. Finance is a great example of a work area that has confidential documents. The last thing we want to do is leave any type of document out that has personal identifiable information, also known as PII. PII can be a person's name, address, social security number, phone number, or email address. Confidential documents must be stored in a locked cabinet overnight. During work hours, hard copies must be locked when you are away from your desk. Lock your computer while you are away to keep active work confidential. To keep our work areas neat and clean, there are standards for the amount of clothing items that are allowed on the back of chairs. No more than 1 clothing item is allowed. For example, 1 jacket, or 1 sweater, etc. Any additional items should be hung up or folded and placed in a drawer to avoid a cluttered appearance. Depending on your work area or process area, the standards may be different. Any items to be posted or hung on the walls require management approval. It's important to have consistent messaging and communications throughout our GLWA work areas. To continue the effort of keeping our work areas neat and organized, there are standards regarding footwear being stored under your desk. With the weather conditions that we are exposed to as well as parking off-site, sometimes it's necessary to have more than 1 pair of shoes. Some visitors have to walk a few blocks to the building and may choose a sneaker and bring a business casual shoe to change into. Oftentimes we may need additional items from home for use during our workday. These items should be stored as much as possible. If they need to be left under your desk, Please check with your zone captain or 5S champion to make sure you are following the approved standards for your work area. During working hours you can work from piles of papers. It is understood that you may have multiple sources of information to work from. A few key reminders when you walk away from your desk are: be sure to lock your computer. Cover confidential or personal information. Tidy up. You never know who might walk through. At the end of the day, all papers, binders, books, etc. should be put away. Overhead bins should be closed. Desk cleared of trash. And chair pushed in. Not only does this look nicer to walk into the next day, it also makes it easier for the janitorial services to do their jobs. The common areas in the facilities can be the first impression for our visitors or team members that work elsewhere. It is everyone's responsibility to ensure the standards are followed. A clean and neat appearance will result in a positive experience for team members and visitors. Here you can see the shadow board that indicates the tool that belongs there. The shadow helps to show when items are missing and also guides you where to store a particular tool. The ladder hanger provides a way to keep the ladder out of the way of team members and visitors. It's neatly and safely stored and can be retrieved anytime it's needed. At one time or another we will all use at least one of the conference rooms. The conference rooms are considered a common area, which means that it's everyone's responsibility to maintain the standards. Even if the room isn't cleaned up completely when you arrive, it's important to leave it that way for the next person. It's simple stuff like wiping off the table, pushing in the chairs, erasing and cleaning the whiteboard, and throwing away all trash, food, notes, etc. You never know who might be using that room after you, so it's important to leave it nice, neat, and clean. Another common area is the copier and copier supplies space. Maintaining the standards in this common area helps team members spend less time looking for the items they need. Notice how the shelves are labeled and organized. The most commonly used paper size is stored where most people can reach it, while the other sizes are beneath it. Each shelf and section of the shelf are labeled so that team members can spend less time looking for what they need. Also, labeling helps to identify which supplies or materials are out of order and need to be replenished. The break areas are available to team members and visitors. It is everyone's responsibility to clean up after themselves, and their visitors to leave a neat and clean area for the next person. This is an example of a small break area located in the water board building. Team members and visitors desiring to use this area would find the table clean, appliances wiped, and any spills cleaned up. Keeping this area neat and organized results in team members spending less time looking for items while on a quick break. Providing a neat and clean appearance creates a positive experience for team members and visitors. The lobby areas can be the first impression for our visitors or team members that work elsewhere. It is everyone's responsibility to ensure the standards are followed. Much like the conference rooms and the break areas, a clean and neat appearance will result in a positive experience for team members and visitors. Can you imagine if you had a visitor join you and when you get off the elevator at your floor there's papers all over the table, trash left on the table and floor? I'm guessing no one would want to experience that. It only takes a few minutes to push the chairs in, throw the trash out, and wipe down the area for the next person. Chapter 13. 5S Audit Board Examples. What is an audit board? An audit board provides a visual presentation of the status and achievements of the zones in your area. Your 5S audit board should be fun and show off the personality of your work or process area. It can also create some friendly competition with other areas. Check out some of the examples used at the water board building in this chapter. This is an example of a 5S audit board used on the 16th floor of the water board building. The 16th floor team members wanted to represent their numbers in swim lanes. So they opted for the audit board above and use magnetic swimmers to chart out where they are in the water. This is an example of a 5S audit board used on the 18th floor of the water board building. The 18th floor team members wanted to represent their numbers similar to a sailboat race. So they opted for the audit board above and use magnetic sailboats to chart out where they are in the water. Chapter 14. A knowledge check is a way of testing you on what you learned in this presentation. The next few slides will ask you questions related to the material that was just presented to you. Ready? Let's start. Let's see what you remember about the 5S phases. On this slide is a true-false question. These are the 5S phases. Is this true or false? How would you answer this question? The answer is on the next slide. The answer is true. Did you get it right? If not, you may need to watch this presentation again. On this slide is a multiple-choice question. Who benefits from the 5S methodology? How would you answer this question? The answer is on the next slide. The answer is 4. Everybody. Did you get it right? If not, you may need to watch this presentation again. Last question. Which phase is auditing in? How would you answer this question? The answer is on the next slide. The answer is 5. Sustain. Did you get it right? If not, you may need to watch this presentation again. Chapter 15. Summary. The next slide is a brief summary of how to use 5S in your workplace. You will also find contact information on the last slide should you have additional questions or concerns. You might be wondering, what's next? How will you use this knowledge going forward? Communicating the 5S methodology and principles in a consistent manner is a great start. Keeping your agreements with your zone mates, and supporting each other to continually improve and sustain all of your 5S efforts. Training new team members will also enforce the use of and help you remember the 5 S's: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Before you know it, 5S won't be something you have to do. It will become part of your everyday behavior. Should you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us. Deborah Anderson, Transformation Manager, 313-550-8995 or deborah.anderson@glwater.org. Deirdre Weir, Organization Development Director, 313-964-9832 or deirdre.weir@glwater.org. Thanks for learning with us today.